Alright guys, how's it going? We're back. And we are going to put in this centrifuge today. I still haven't gotten this moved yet. So we're going to do that now. Let's actually take this stuff over here to the circuit building. Hopefully we can start getting it set up here soon. I'm not 100% sure exactly where I'm putting any of this yet. But let's go ahead and just throw it right here for right now. And apparently we have updates that I actually didn't know we had. Let's go look at the book real quick. So, quests. Circuits. So, press, circuit plate, wiring, and board. All done. The argon. Oh, wait a minute. I may have never gotten the argon because you actually have to have it in a drum or some kind of container. And I just have it automated over into here. And I never grabbed it because I didn't care. So that's probably... except that wouldn't have had anything to do with these. So I'm not real sure why we hadn't gotten those up through there. But let's see what this says. In order to make a Buell, for your first circuit parts, you will need a noble gas. Early stage of the game, there is only... okay. Only one you can get fairly easily is argon. Not the only one. That gas is argon. Comes from running purified biotite through a dryer. Bullshit. That's a terrible way of doing it. You can, that's a typo, get purified biotite as a byproduct chance from running crushed chrysolite, crushed diamantonite, mica, vermiculite, jade. If I remember correctly, there's actually a biotite ore. Now, I could be wrong, but I think there's a biotite ore. I never go look for this crap because that's not my way of doing it. My way of getting argon is from monazite, and everybody tells me that my way of getting it is horrible. So I can understand why others may not do that. But see, there's also this endstone in a centrifuge at 64, which is perfectly easy to be done, will get you helium. So it's not the only one you can get early game. It's one of the only easy ones, but it's not one of the only ones. Neon you can't really get easily, but helium you can, and argon you can. And just like it says here, monazite can be smelted for helium. So not argon. This is my way of getting it. Not using argon, but smeltering monazite for helium. And the nice thing about that is you get 500 liters from one piece of monazite. That's a 2 of these to make 1. Where if you go the biotite way, drying it like this, and you look at this one right here, it takes 129 seconds and you get 90 liters. That sucks. You better be setting up a better dryer than just a steel dryer if you're going to try to make this anywhere near viable, because that kind of sucks. So personally, I think that this needs to be changed to helium rather than the argon, or helium and argon, and should at least explain the 3 ways that Greg shows in the task thing. You know, monazite, endstone, biotite. That's your early game ways of getting it. And fix the typo. So I'll show this to Chubby. Let's see. Crystallization. You'll need a crystallization crucible with a noble gas. Molten metal to make the buell. You can use redstone, alloy, silicon, or germanium. You will need 2 E's, a tiny pile of dust as a seed, and some molten quantity of the you will need a tiny pile of dust as a seed and some molten quantity of the same as the seed dust to make... I don't like the way that's written. You need 4 units of said material. You need 3.888 as molten, and you need a tiny dust for the seed. It's still 4 units. So I would put that in, that you need 4 units total per buell, with 1 tiny dust of that used as the seed, the rest as molten material, probably made in a smelter. You can make your molten metal in a crucible and transport it to the crystallization crucible using a measuring pot. Just use a ceramic funnel on top to pour it in. This is correct. But if you're doing it in the smart way, and you're using a smelter for your monazite, you already got the smelter, just use it. This is one I'm pretty sure is coming from the old people that wrote the book, but I'm not sure. I also would really prefer if this was the first one in the list, not this one. This should be the last one in the list, because that's the highest tier. This is the lowest tier, easiest to get. And then this one, and then that one. Germanium should be the first one. Basic circuit parts. Now that you have a buell, you can cut it into plates and then cut again into tiny plates ready for your basic circuit parts. You will also need some fine copper wire and redstone. Use your press and put either 1 fine copper wire, 1 tiny pile of redstone dust, and 1 tiny crystalline plate for 1 circuit part. Or you can use 9, 1 redstone dust, and 9 to make 9 parts. Though I prefer doing it with the tinies just because it comes out to an equal 4, not a unequal 9. But yeah, that is correct. And I haven't done this since apparently I got the argon. So I'll have to do that again, and then I can get it done. First machine you'll need is a press. Press will be used in multiple stages of circuit construction. To start out, you can reuse the press for the different steps, but once you improve your factory, it is better to have a press for each step. The press also requires a 16 KU. Why does it say A16? It requires 16 KU a tick to run. That is a bronze engine. Now wait a minute. That is not only a bronze engine. You can also do it with a tin alloy engine. You can also do it with a lead engine. The difference being that these are less efficient, but it doesn't mean that they can't be used. Also, you can use a arsenic copper, but that's a new one, so we'll understand that one. Arsenic bronze, again, this is a new one. Brass, which is exactly the same as bronze in every way. Invar, still be done, and is actually more efficient than the bronze and the brass. It is your most efficient engine. The issue being, though, that you need exactly 50 steam a tick to run it, and there is no boiler that puts out exactly 50 steam a tick. There's also not one that puts out 100. There's no pipes that can limit it. I don't know anybody that's ever used this engine for running some type of machine. Ironwood, same exact thing as the Invar, but actually it's a little bit better efficient, not enough to really care. Steel can still do 16 and is 50% efficient, just like the bronze. That's why I use them interchangeably a lot of times, because you can they're just a little bit different, not much. Fiery steel is 16 is the low side of that, and then finally chromium is above that. So you've got everything from here to there that can do 16 KU a tick minimum. Or, 16 KU a tick. And it doesn't mention the fact that you can use a bronze rotational engine, but at a 50% loss because half of your power is going the other direction. But I do have a problem with it, with that it tells you that it needs, this is a bronze engine. That sounds like you have to use that. No, you can. You probably should. Recommended is a bronze engine, but it's also a steel boiler, because you can't do that with a bronze boiler. So it should also say that. Get my butt back over here. All right. First thing you need to make is a circuit board. This will require a press and a plastic sheet. It's also going to require some silicon dioxide. You will also need some sort of silicon dioxide. Why is that in a separate sentence? This will require the press, a plastic sheet, and some silicon dioxide. This can be flint dust, glass. That's not right. Glass dust, sand, or quartz dust. Just place the plastic sheet, silicon dioxide in the press and run. After a few seconds, you will get a circuit plate to be used further down the line. Okay, go for that. To complete this quest, craft that. This should already, if it says here bronze press, use the one from there's an extra J there, previous quest, plastic sheet. Well, don't we have a quest back here for making plastic? So, it kind of should point the fact that, you made that previously in here. So if somebody's trying to go from here, I would even go as far as to make this one require the plastic to be made. You can't unlock this one unless you've already done the plastic one. Makes sense to me, at least. Need some wiring for that fancy new circuit plate. All you need is some copper. There's several ways to make circuit wiring. You can craft it by hand with 8 fine copper wires and your 2 Y's there, wire cutters, or you can use a precision laser engraver and copper foil. Each will use a different amount of copper. Doesn't that depend on how you do it? Fine copper wire comes from a copper foil if you're doing it that way. In a wire mill, you get 1 long copper rod turns into 8 of them. And you need 8 of them to make your... Where the fuck is it? Where the hell is it? That should be in the... That's the recipe I was looking for. Fine annealed or fine copper wire, 8 of them for 1 of them. And to make one of these, you can do it with 4 of these, which is 1 of those. So no, it doesn't need different amounts. You may be using different amounts depending on how you make your foil and how you make your wiring, but no, it's the same amount if you're using a wire mill or a cluster mill for the foil. As long as you're using proper machines, it's the same amount. Note, you will need to have a tier 1 basic circuit to make a laser engraver. This is correct. So your very first one is not going to use a laser engraver. You're going to need to do it by hand at least the first time. Completely by hand, anvil plate into 2 foil, cut foil into 1 fine copper wire, requires 4 copper plates for 8 fine copper wire. Use cluster mill, 1 copper plate into 4 foil. Use cutters to make fine copper wire, 2 copper plates for 8 fine copper wire. Use wire mill, that should be 1, not I. Copper rod will make 4 fine copper wire, which is 1 copper ingot for the 2 copper rods, or you can use a long rod for 8 fine copper wire. Use cluster mill, laser engraver, 1 copper plate in cluster mill for 4 copper foil. 4 copper foil in laser engraver will create 1 circuit wiring. So where did I... There are several ways to make the circuit wiring. You can craft it by hand for 8 fine copper wire and your wire quarters, or you can use... each will use a different... Oh, it's saying each different step. Okay, depending on how by hand you do it. Okay. Now use your press. And now your press, and Now use your press and press the circuit plate and circuit wiring together. This will give you a circuit plate copper. Correct? And then that will go into this one, which I can't even look into, so we'll have to figure that out later. Anyways, and you see I'm using steel for mine because it's what I happen to have. Not because I needed to. Well, I actually did need to in this case because I'm using a strong steam boiler because I wanted mine to run at 64 instead of 16. But by the time you get to this point, you really shouldn't be worried about running it at 16. There's no reason you can't run it better than that. Okay, let's get rid of these. And let's get rid of that. That was going through there, so we don't have to worry about that. I need to get this stuff completely out of here because there's no reason for any of this to be running over here any longer, and we'll deal with filling that floor back in later. I just wanted to get that out of there so we don't have excess crap in the floor where we don't need it. Alright, so that means we can also get rid of this here. And let's go upstairs now. Sorry, you might notice I'm a little bit shitty sounding today. My sinuses are draining, so I'm not actually sick. I'm just dealing with clogged up nose and all that crap. Throat getting sore from the sinus draining. It happens this time of year. Alright, so we want to get that centrifuge put in, and I think we want to keep it somewhat close to here. We don't want it way out in the way, so I think we're going to put it here. If we do so, we've got to deal with this here, because that runs through here. We need to get that pipe there over to wherever it is that we're going to be having the fuel go into our engine, which we will probably have the fuel go in about right there. There shouldn't be any issue with doing that, because the centrifuge is going to go on the top. We'll have the output there. The input's going to come down from up there into the top here. So yeah, there's no reason we can't do it right there. So we're going to have this pipe connect right there. And we need to connect it to that pipe right there. So this would be a perfect place for one of those bridges. So tank bridge is going to be steel machine and a couple steel pipes. So let's go grab one of those and put this together real quick. And I'd like to tell you guys that the gas for our power is doing great. Still can't see any drop in the amount of gas that we have out in the tank. So there's no issues there. So I think we're going to set up a bit of a redstone thing to where whichever gas is over a certain amount, it's going to take me a little bit to do this. But we're going to set it up to where the natural gas is going to be our if shit, basically. If we're out of everything else, then it's going to go through there. If it doesn't, then we're fine with the way it is. It can run if it needs to. Okay, so that's running now. We need to get the shut me the hell off thing put on there, but for right now, since it's going to be running until I get a shut me the hell off thing, let's go ahead and just do the piping here. There we go. And we need to now set this to output. Shit. There we go. Apparently I didn't hit the right thing. Oh, let me up on there, you pain in my ass. This. You. So I must have hit one of these and got the wrong thing. But there we go. Now we have it running and we're getting all the stuff. So now we'll just have to hook that pipe up into our dump it the hell out pipe, which is the one that comes from here, because this is giving us dust out. So if we look at this, it gives us dust. That's what we want. So this pipe right here, we need to connect this up to that. So first off, let's go get a shut me the hell off switch, so I don't forget to put one on there, because I do that if I don't put it on immediately. So we need a circuit, a thing, a lever, and a tin cable. There we go. I abuse these things, man. Let me tell you, I use them for everything. Bloop. There we go. All right. Look at that. We've already got a full osmium just out of there. Beautiful. All right. So let's go ahead and break that out. And we'll put a pipe right there. So like, oh, there we go again with that stupid crap. I'm sure somebody uses that. And I'm sure somebody would say it's not useless crap. But I've never needed it. So to me, it's worthless crap. And just gets on my damn nerves. And the nice thing about having all this done is we have now hit 10 palladium. So that means that I can make me a full palladium dust finally. Let's go ahead. We got some iridium, some osmium, some rhodium, some ruthenium. Don't really need the rhodium and ruthenium. Still don't think we have a use for those yet. And I don't know that I even have a place. Yeah, ruthenium we don't even have a place for yet. And by the way, if you see the this is electrum and some rubber pulp and some blue alloy. That's all the pipe, all the wires we had down below that I was pulling out of there. I left the 4X blue alloy, but all the rest of them I went ahead and just threw them into the shredder and recycled them because I didn't figure we needed the 2X versions of them, and especially not the electrum ones, and we can use the electrum for other things. So there we go. We finally have our first full palladium dust. Go ahead and pop that out of there. And I just noticed that that thing is closed. That should not be closed. That one's open, that one's open. Okay. So does that mean we have any... No, we don't have any palladium in there. And this is emptying. Okay. So we should be good. We're up to 13 osmium, 315 platinum, 23 iridium. The rhodium, we got 29. I'll deal with changing that over later. That stuff still doesn't have a use. But now that can get emptied out and centrifuged at its leisure. And this stuff still needs to run, which, by the way, it is doing great now that I put in that tank up there for the overfill. It is completely empty, and this is back down to about 1700, which is still above the 1500, so nothing's able to run to make more. So I'm going to go ahead and leave that upper tank up there, but I don't know now that I have the chlorine making one turned off, which it still is. I still need to take the time to figure that out. But since we have so much rock salt right now, it's not really a big deal. And so I'm not too worried about it at the moment. We'll worry about it later when we actually need to worry about it. Anyways, after I cough, I think that's going to be about it for today. I'm going to try to get that live stream done on Friday. I'm hoping. We'll see if I have time to do it. If I'm not feeling too kicked in the pants by this signage drainage crap. Usually takes a few days to get over, and we will work on getting everything in here done. It's not going to really be something I can do in a video, or I would have to chop it up into a whole bunch of little pieces, and I'd rather do it as a live stream. I will show it off in a video for anybody that doesn't want to sit and go through the whole thing. But yeah, I will hopefully get this done, and then we can finally start making some T6 circuits and get into all the fun stuff. And we can then start working on the crystal ones as well. So we got lots of fun things coming soon. So I will see you guys in the next one. Have a good one. And I'll catch you later.